I'm Dan Eastgate, President of the Bismarck School Board. It's 5:15 on Monday, January 27th. I call this meeting to order. Welcome and thank you for joining us here and online. You can find our agenda and follow along online under the School Board tab at bismarckschools.org. Mr. Chair, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Eastgate?
Here.
Mr. Hager?
Here.
Mr. Lee?
Here.
Mrs. Peterson?
Here.
Ms. Presky?
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Fosnot, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 1C is the BPS mission, vision, and values. The BPS mission is to empower every learner to thrive. The BPS vision states, together, our strong relationships build inclusive, collaborative, and innovative environments that create agency and inspire a passion for learning, excellence, and discovery. The BPS values are inclusion, excellence, innovation, and leadership. You'll also find a link in the agenda to the BPS strategic plan. Item 2 is to adopt the agenda. What are the wishes of the board? Mr. Hager.
I move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Scher.
Hager?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Presky?
Yes.
Eastgate?
Yes, motion passes. Item 3 is focus on success. Dr. Fosnot, I'll hand it over to you to introduce our art program presentation for this evening.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm pleased to introduce this evening Mr. Doug Vanderpan, assistant principal, and I guess we were just talking about crafter of many pro athletes at Horizon Middle School, who will be talking with him and a few of colleagues, which I'll let him introduce our art program, sharing with you. So,
Thank you, and I'd like to thank the board and its members, the superintendents, Mr. Scheer, and especially Misty, for inviting the art group here to share their expertise and the things that some of the neat things they do in class. So, like Dr. Fosnot said, I'm Doug Vanderpan, and I've been the portfolio holder for art for several years. And we think about combining our guaranteed and viable curriculum components along with our career and ready practices, and I think we offer a really good art elective for our BPS students. This evening, we'll have Lori Reel from Legacy, but we'll start with Horizons Group, Andrea Vinge, and Lee Dornfeld. So we'll get going right now.
Welcome.
Hello. Hello. I'm Lee Dornfeld.
I'm Andrea Vinge.
We teach together at Horizon, and we put together a presentation for you. I think we're going to do every other, maybe?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah. We might interject.
Am I in control? Horizon Middle School art. Here's one of our students practicing a Jackson Pollock on the floor. He came to us and spoke zero English. Art was a good place to have him because it's so visual, and we could have him doing things. So that's our first picture.
Yeah. Community paint party. So we partnered with Bismarck Burley Health and hosted a paint party for all the students October 14th and 15th. So this was something that we did with the health department and with a local artist and with the community. They had paint parties all around the community, including one at our school on 2 different days. And we also invited parents on that conference night that we had the conferences there. It happened to we made it so that it coincided. So they were invited to come to the paint party as well. And this was part of an underpainting that they were doing. It's called a tab painting. It's almost sort of like a paint by number. And they'll be installing this mural. They'll have a city and a community kind of event for people to come and watch them install it. It's going to be on the expressway in Bismarck.
Tunnel, the
In the
walking
tunnel,
path.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here are a few more pictures of our students. And then Molly, help me with their last name. McClay?
Yeah.
Molly came and did, then on the bottom left, you can see where the students are doing the mosaic work as well, which you were great about. I was a little nervous because there were sharp tools. But they did amazing. The kids
Boys
had
love it.
a good time, and the painting was really fun. So in October, we took our 8th grade classes downtown so they could see a bunch of the galleries that Bismarck has to offer. We also walked around quite a few different blocks so they could view all the art murals, the art alley. I know this picture in the middle is Paul Newt's
Yeah.
mural that he did that we brought the kids over to. You'll know more about the galleries. Do you want to add anything?
So we took them to Bismarck Art and Galleries Association. We took them to the Capitol Gallery. We took them to Bismarck Downtown Artists Cooperative, which they can actually be members and show their artwork at if they want. And a few of them got the applications and were very interested in participating in the gallery. We took them to the Art Alley, which is all local artists. And part of art is enlivening your community. And we want them to be aware of all the art that is in downtown Bismarck and all the local artists and talent that we have, and that they can like look forward to becoming and participating in that as an adult. So we want them to have this, like, keep this passion for lifelong. It helps, engaging them in this community. So, yeah, we went to all the galleries. She gave us a shout out on Instagram. The lady at BDAC said, "Thanks, Horizon." She brought in a piano player and they played piano for us while we were at the gallery. It was great. It was really fun. And the kids enjoyed it. We got to go to Brick Oven Bakery, which they loved too. It was fun. They did really well.
I won't talk too much about it because Andrea actually runs Art Club, which my son participates in and absolutely loves.
That's him.
Yep, that is him. But they meet on most Tuesday nights. She has 2 different sessions. And I think it's fair to let you talk about what you guys do.
Okay, and so it's nice to have a club after school so that kids that can't be in regular art classes or have too many electives or on an Avid and things like that, but still have a passion for art, can come and make art after school. So it's like, right now it's about 30 kids. They come, we do drawing each other, we do like, it depends on the season, like we did some Christmas stuff, we did some fall stuff, we did some outdoor stuff. And they really like just being with each other, because they have that passion and they like feed off of each other. So it's really fun. That's us drawing each other. Those are some of their drawings of each other where we dress up with their Halloween costumes. I brought a bunch of hats and masks and stuff like that, and they stand on tables and they just look at each other and try to draw proportionate figures.
And here is when you went outside and did sidewalk
Yep,
chalk
those are
drawing
sidewalk
right away
chalk.
in the fall. Did I miss one? I want to make sure. Okay. Here is a collection, different projects from the kids. It's fun to see. I think it's fun to see the actual students. And this was, he wanted us to take his picture. But we do ceramics and clay with the students. And then the other 2 pictures are incorporated Margaret Keene and learning about her and her art with all their big eyes around Halloween time. And they think that's kind of, these are creepy, but they're really fun.
Yeah.
We
What's
have,
that? Instagram? Oh, that's our Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Instagram.
so if you want to see more of what we're doing at Horizon in our art classes, pretty much every project, we have our Instagram page, and we try to put up a collection or a few different things of what the students are working on. I did put a QR code in here, so you can use your phone and snap that. And I had a lot of 8th graders this semester that we started 2 weeks ago say their one goal was to make the Instagram. But it's helpful for us, too, to bring up really good examples of projects in the past. So, yeah.
That's about it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Board members, any questions for Lee or Andrea at all? Thank you so much. Appreciate
you.
all the great work
Thanks.
you guys are doing and getting
Thanks.
students out in the community. It's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Hello, I'm Lori Reel from Legacy High. I just told Doug I could do this myself, and now I have regrets. There we go. So we had heard that this was all about capacity building through visual art, so I purposely tried to find things to talk about where art was seen or shared throughout our community at Legacy or beyond. And so we started our year, I did at least, with my students, so students of all levels, the freshmen coming up all the way to seniors, got a block for this saber. It's really hard to find a good photo of saber-tooth tigers. And so I did use a little IA to get that done. But anyways, we cut it up and delivered it to them, and then they created it. So this was just kind of like a warm-up, getting to know my students and getting their hands busy on days when most of their day is spent listening to syllabi. So anyways, we're really proud of this. It's huge. And it's hanging on the wall near the art rooms if you should ever get to Legacy. In photography, we have groups that design Honor the Code posters. So you can see on the display that we have sacrifice, attitude, belief, effort, respect. And each photo, each poster that they create has to illustrate one of those concepts. It's kind of hard to understand how to take a photo that will illustrate a concept. It's a higher order thinking skill. And they did that as project-based learning, and they compete. And then the staff votes on the group that they think is the best, and those get put on. We have them printed at the print shop, and they get put on the walls. So we have like 3 different sets that rotate throughout the years. We do have art club as well, and our art club meets on Tuesdays as well. So Tuesday must be art day. Ways that art club is known throughout the school is one, it's cut off on here, but the one in the bottom left corner, they are displaying our homecoming buttons. And we try to have many different choices on our buttons so that if you're in choir, it says choir and homecoming. If you're in football, it says football and homecoming. It's a way to individualize, and they get to, they purchase them for $1, and it's a little bit of a fundraiser, not really for $1. And then the middle one, the kids are dressed up for Sweets and Treats. That's a huge community event sponsored by Student Council, but many other groups participate as well, and those are our artists that are dressed up for Sweets and Treats. And then to the right, you see that they are painting seasonal windows in the Learning Commons. Even when we don't paint windows, teachers ask us. They say it brightens that Learning Commons area, and they just get a kick out of what the students choose to paint. So we have National Art Honor Society. I'm the advisor for that. We're the only art department in Bismarck that has, like at the high school level, that has National Art Honor Society, and I'm really proud of it. It's a small group this year, but they are artists who choose to have, work to have a grade point average that's above 90% in all their classes, and then they also must get 15 hours of volunteer time in the community. And so here we see that they are doing that with the United Way. We partnered with United Way, and they handmade all of the little ornaments that you see on that tree, and that was inside of Mandan's library. And for the designer Jean's Buddy Walk, we did, they had an art table, and they also had face painting. So they were part of that day. And then Love and Art at the Dream Center, those 2 students helped just kind of guide people through arts and crafts activities. There are many other things that we do. This was just 3. Right now we have 2 things in the hopper. We'll be doing face painting for the Pink Night with the boys and girls basketball boosters at Legacy on February 4th. And then we are also doing the table decorations for the Benny Pet for Central Dakota Humane Society. So we're really out there creating connections, and I hope that they're lifetime connections for our students. The National Art Honor Society this year also decided that we wanted to share. We wanted to share who our artists were in the school. We're a tiny little department, and we just wanted to support our artists. And so they started putting out this little Instagram post. You see, it was for Aspen, Morgenstern, and then Kylie Bubach was behind there. And so not every artist wants to talk about themselves, but these 2 did, and I just wanted to show you that those were put out on social media, just having little celebrations of people we're proud of. And then every year, we also do Artists of the Year. So these are the 2D Artists of the Year, but we also have 3D ones as well. We also partake in the BEGA annual student show. So BEGA is Bismarck Art and Galleries Association. It's a huge student show, and I want to encourage you to please go see it when it comes to town because you will be amazed at the talent that our students have in our Bismarck-Mandan area. It's not just the public school, there's also private schools involved, but they are amazing. And then we also have artwork on Artsonia. Artsonia is the world's largest art museum for students, and there our students can upload artwork and create their whole, like a portfolio from like the beginning of their high school career till the end. And it's good to view those and what we're doing, and there's years and years of artwork. I think there's like 13,000 pieces of artwork for Legacy or some crazy number like that. So you can find it on there through, by just looking up our zip code. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Board members, any questions or comments for Mrs. Reel? Mr. Lee?
Thank you, President Eastgate. No questions. I just appreciate this whole presentation and all of you for taking the time to do this, and Mr. Vanderpan for your great work on the portfolio. This is so important, and it's not lost on me how this enriches our kids' lives and how they do better in other subjects when they have that outlet. It also is not lost on me that it takes a lot of passion and energy to draw out that creativity from our young people. So thank you all for what you do every day.
Thank you. And I'm a firm believer in advocating for ourselves. If we don't do it, then nobody's going to do it for us. And so I'm going to take this moment to tell you that I would be happy to work with any of you in discussing elementary art program, where we can get elementary art teachers that are certified into our classrooms. I sit on the board for the North Dakota Art Educators Association, and I see what happens in Fargo and that fantastic program that they have, that each kid gets at least 1 hour of art every week. And art falls right into our CRP, things that we are talking about that means so much to Bismarck Public Schools. So anyways, I'm here. I'm here if you want to talk about it.
Thanks very much, Mr. Reel. Thank you to all the presenters tonight, and I think, Andrea, you mentioned it during your presentation, but that the part of art is enlivening your community, and clearly we see that a lot, and that you guys are helping our students do that. I mean, just the great work you guys are doing with other, nonprofits, United Way, pet fundraisers. It's just really neat to see how you guys are taking art and making it such a big part of the community. So, thanks for all you're doing. Appreciate that. Yeah, thank you all very much. Next up on our agenda here tonight, we have item 4, which is public comment. The board recognizes the central role that parents play in the education of their children and support active parent involvement in the educational process. The board's practice of public comment reflects and aligns with policy BCBA and the spirit of its intent. For classroom issues, it's best to follow the chain of command, teacher to principal to assistant superintendent to the superintendent. For district issues, please reach out to Dr. Fosnot. If you do speak tonight, we simply ask you be responsible, be helpful, and be respectful. BPS students deserve adults model the expectations that we have for them. Individuals will be limited to no more than 4 minutes, be notified with 30 seconds remaining to conclude their remarks. The board does not debate issues as presented, but will take such matters under advisement. With that, please stand and approach the podium if you'd like to speak tonight. See nobody coming to the podium. Public comment is now closed. Item 5 on the agenda, monitoring district operations. We have one item tonight to consider, AR 2.2 academic achievement electives. Dr. Fosnot.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Dr. Johnson, who's going to give you a few thoughts on this short report, but give you a few of the details, and I would have a couple items I'd like to add.
Perfect. So, welcome, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you, President Eastgate, members of the board. Pleasure to talk about this again. I think there's a key couple sentences at the end of the summary that I'd just like to read to you. Often elective courses form the foundation for college and career exploration. The opt-in nature makes a strong case for high achievement or the growth due to potential increased connection and personal investment. We want that for everyone, whether it's your core classes or your electives, but sometimes people see that what they see themselves and their future in some of those electives. And so I just really appreciate and am amazed when I talk to some of my relatives who are near the cities or in other states, and they're just astounded by the amount of commitment that this board and community has had long-term to our career and technical education, our arts, our music programs, et cetera. So again, it's really, as I say, I believe that we're the best school district in the Upper Plains, and I'd really ask someone to prove otherwise. So this is yet another piece of evidence that gives me that point of pride. As we take a look, obviously when we talk about electives, that's a wide array, and as Mr. Barnhart can attest, sometimes at the elementary we might think it's electives, but really it's about that core experience, whether it's physical education or art. So it's, again, how do we define those differently? But at the secondary, where the majority of this is 6 through 12 focused, we look at that as those other courses that don't fit into one of the 4 core areas, nice and neat, even though there may be some expectation for everyone to take physical education. So summer school, career and technical education camps, you've had presentations on that. Again, Dr. Warwick has been doing a lot of work aligning our career readiness practices, and the work that Mr. Haroff and now Mr. Pat Phillips as the director for career and technical education has really led. We're scaling that across our 6 through 12, really looking at that. These are things, board member John Lee talked to myself and Dr. Hornbacher a few years ago about, like, really, we want things besides just academic outcomes of these are important aspects that need to be woven into all classes, and they're attributes that help having that ready workforce. So again, where can we naturally find connections where we can be providing that feedback that's beyond just academic measures as well? And so there's always that continuous work around the Guaranteed Viable Curriculum from our LDI department. And we take a look then, too, again, you see AVID and you hear about AVID oftentimes, but again, that's a lot of work where kids are choosing and electing to be in that, but it's really woven throughout a lot of different aspects. So I won't read through everything there, but you can see that there's a lot of different highlights that really talks about the investment and intentional work around what matters to orchestra teachers is different perhaps at times than to reading teachers or to math teachers. So again, we're always looking to find PD where we can help allow people to be connected with their national and conferences or organizations. So we have just one measurement here on the elective for the data analysis there, and it's a new measurement. And so it makes it a little bit difficult as we compare to previous years because we're now pulling in a different way. So really it's kind of, I would say, the first pull of that, and so that's why the information appears the way it does with much of it grayed out. But what we did do is we went back and we were able to pull grades for 9 through 12 in past years and be able to have that same measurement. So again, this is about showing with that intentionality, similar to what we did in the past when we looked at standards, like what's that level? We always said, hey, that's about, are kids at about a B level or not? So that's that same measure that we took now into the academic final grade. So it pulled the final grade for the electives at a B or higher, and that's any form of B. B minus, B, B plus. I know that gets into the weeds, but just trying to clarify because some people ask me about that. So I'm just trying to be clear to you and the rest of our community that when we look at that. So again, overall, as Dr. Fosnatz tried to work with you to create a streamlined process that puts 87% of our grades that were able to be pulled this last year, 6 through 12, were at a B or higher. Again, any form of that. So again, that's just in electives, and that's the overall average of the averages, pulling that together. So at this point, I think we've kind of highlighted what we've done. You've heard great work. My eldest daughter loved Mrs. Reel's, Art Honor Society, as well as participated in lots of those things. Again, we're trying to have kids feel connected in and out of the classroom, and what great opportunities at Horizon and other places too. I know there's art clubs there around, even in the elementary. My daughters were able to experience some of that too. So I'd send for any questions that you might have at this. I believe Dr. Frostnot did want to maybe frame something up. I don't know if that's appropriate now or not.
Would you like questions first, Dr. Frostnot?
No, go ahead.
Ms. Peterson.
I do have a question, and I actually appreciate this because I think this has come up in a couple of different results, policies about certain other metrics that we take about increases in offerings in some areas that sometimes may or may not impact the amount of electives and other pieces. So I really appreciate this report. So the only other question that I have is I really appreciate the highlights and liked the focus on success. It's fun to hear what's going on in one of our electives. But just wondering, I mean, I think when I saw on page, no, I just scrolled up. You guys did a nice job of talking about elective courses on page 5, where you kind of talked CTE, facts, business, agriculture, music, arts, PE, and world languages. So obviously the gamut. And I think those of us, not only with children, but also who know and are in these schools, know that there are a lot of really good work happening in these. But then in the highlights, I saw that we highlighted AVID, we highlighted art, and some CTE. Just wondering if there is a reason for some of those highlights, or are we missing some by not maybe showing some highlights that are in some of those other classes, like such as the music, the facts, the business? We just don't mention like in a bulleted piece. I know it's like included in the data and so on. So just wondering if you could explain maybe the reason for maybe not highlighting some of those pieces.
I think it just really was focused more around up there's the capacity building where you're looking at the guaranteed and viable work as well as what conferences we've gone to. Again, we're trying to look at what's recently been done. In years past, we could talk about the number of people that went to this or that conference associated with music, for example, or arts. But in the recent year where this is report annually looking back, that was, I think, capturing what we have systemically been supporting. So I think if that's kind of I think that probably answers versus it's not that there isn't work being done at music. It's not that there aren't other measures that we could about how many people are all state in music or such that, but that's not for this result. That hasn't been an indicator, and so then it wasn't aligned. But really then when it comes to the PD, the curriculum work and cycle, we were just trying to hit on larger work that's outside of, and again, the career readiness practices is an example that's hitting all of our core areas as well as our electives. But forgive me, Amanda, if Ms. Peterson, if I'm maybe misunderstanding the intent of the question.
Nope, I just wanted to make sure that the public knows why certain things were highlighted or not, and that we value all of those electives in this report. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Board members, any other questions? Dr. Fosnett, you had a couple points.
I do. I might start, Ms. Peterson, with your points. I think I'm just going to make a note. That'll wait 12 months for me to report back to this for you. But I appreciate your thoughts on that. I will be honest, it's even today's presentation and some of the components what our teachers shared, I don't get the opportunity to hear that every day, all the time. I will take that in consideration next time you see this report. Maybe we just need to do a little bit more ear to the ground digging of some highlights that we can share in those areas that maybe focus on some of the other aspects of the elective courses you have in your result, and to make sure we're kind of, it may not be what we're spending a lot of time and effort on centrally in the office, but it'd be nice to, like you heard here, it's nice to highlight some of those things. And I know they happen. It's just sometimes happening with Mr. Vandepan, and he's taking care of it. We don't see it in our office, so I appreciate that. One thing that I did want to mention is, the format for this changed. You saw that. I think Dr. Johnson mentioned that how we've had to kind of modify that this first year. I do think the result this year, when you look at the average grade for all those kids throughout all those courses across those grades, is 87% that are B or greater. That's a really good result. I think the thing to me that I question is, okay, you don't really have a target for this because it's changed. Would you want to consider using one of your excellence committees to help maybe make a recommendation for a target, and we could come back with a proposed target for this before we come around to this next year? So how you feel about that? But yeah, that's all I had for this report.
Board members, any other questions, or what are the wishes of the board in regards to our 2.2 academic achievement? Mr. Lee?
Thank you, President Eastgate. First, to answer the superintendent, I wouldn't mind having a target, but I do feel the data that we're shown here kind of gives us a picture of our students stretching and they're meeting growth, and that's probably what it should all be about anyways. So I like it as it's presented, and with that, with respect to our 2.2 academic achievement electives, I would move that we accept the report as making reasonable progress.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Scher, we call the roll, please.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Preskey,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Johnson, for the presentation. Moving on to the agenda to item 6, matters reserved for board action. We do have a number of things to go over tonight. We have negotiations coming up this year, as the board should know. And so tonight we have a chance to both acknowledge and kind of designate the appropriate negotiating parties we'll be dealing with, as well as a petition for recognition, which I don't know if there's more to add necessarily to that one. Dr. Fosnot, when we get there, you can let me know. But 6A is Bismarck Association of School Administrators negotiating request. Board members, you've had a chance to see this in your packet. Any questions or wishes for the board? Mr. Lee?
Mr. President, thank you. Pursuant to the provisions of 15.1, 16 through 10 of the North Dakota Century Code as amended, I move that the school board of Bismarck Public School District recognize the Bismarck Association of School Administrators as the appropriate negotiating unit for certificated licensed staff employed in administrative positions.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Mr. Scher?
Peterson,
Yes.
Preskey,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes. Motion passes. Item 6B is the Bismarck Association of School Administrators petition for recognition. So some slight different wording. Again, board members, it's all in your packet. Hopefully you've had a chance to take a look at this. It's more of a notice of a meeting that they'll be having. Questions or wishes of the board on this one?
They just got ahead of you a little bit. They had that all done ahead of time, so we'll have a little waiting period, but they've done their due diligence to get those people signed up. So my recommendation is accept the motion.
Thank you, Dr. Fosnot. Mr. Hager?
I move the school board, having previously accepted the description of an appropriate negotiating unit, has on file a dated petition of the Bismarck Association of School Administrators, which contends that it represents a majority of the persons within the appropriate negotiating unit. This notice shall be posted in every school in the district and will serve to notify all of the interests that the board will meet on February 10th, 2025 to consider the petition and determine its validity and of claim.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions from the board? Mr. Scher?
Preskey,
Yeah.
Hager,
Yes.
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes, motion passes. And we have one more on there underneath reserved for board action, 6C, the Bismarck Education Association negotiating request. Board members. Ms. Peterson?
Pursuant to the provisions of 15.1-16-10 of the North Dakota Century Code as amended, the school board of the Bismarck Public School District recognizes Bismarck Education Association as the appropriate negotiating unit for certificated licensed staff employed as professional classroom teachers, librarians, or counselors who are not administrative or supervisory in nature.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Scher?
Hager,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Preskey,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes, motion passes. Thanks very much, board members. I know they can feel redundant, but negotiations are important, and so are the people that represent all of our great staff. So appreciate you guys working through that. 6D on the agenda is school board member school visit updates. Do we have any? We do have at least one. Mrs. Peterson.
Thanks, President Eastgate. Let's see where I closed my tabs. I had the pleasure of joining Russ Reel at Simley Middle School last Wednesday, which feels like an eternity ago, but it was only last Wednesday. And I will say that I had been to Simley a couple of different times. We had a forum, a transportation forum there, and previously before that, it had been since I was a student there. So I made the mistake of trying to park by the old entrance and going in the gym, and then thinking, oh, I just have to go a little up the street and then around. I had to walk quite a ways around to the new building, or to the new entrance. So that was fun. So I was late. For Mr. Reel, but he was gracious enough to accept my apologies for walking around the block. No, I really appreciate it. I had been, like I said, I'd been to Simley in terms of being in the gym and in different situations, watching my own children play, but I hadn't gotten a chance to really be inside Simley Middle School. Not only since I was a student there, but also even when I was teaching. And we hear a lot of great things that are happening out of Simley. Russ is very actively engaged in working with his fellow middle school principals and at the secondary level to talk through a lot of things, but just to kind of see it in action was a really nice opportunity. One thing that is helpful. I mean, we've got an experienced educator. He's in his 21st year in his current role, and the thing that I thought that was interesting about that is that he said he had the opportunity to hire about 80 to 85% of his current staff, and I think what that allows, when we talk about that ability to kind of set the mission and the philosophy, and then train your staff to kind of believe in that same mentality, and that continuity really is not lost on kind of all of us as we see middle school being kind of an especially fun and challenging place as we kind of explore all the different things that they have to deal with. So I just appreciated that kind of active engagement that he does, and especially with a lot of the work that he has done around multi-tiered systems of support, and working with multiple state agencies and different grants to really move that work forward. And I think that's evident in what you actually see when you are walking in his building and seeing the expectations that are set. So he shared with me kind of in his MTSS playbook of expectations. And what I liked about that was really emphasizing and setting expectations for both student and adult behaviors. And that was a new way that I heard, in some of our conversations when we go, we definitely see how good a lot of our schools are at putting their expectations up in kid-friendly language and setting that tone. I really appreciated his playbook, really emphasizing the adult behaviors that need to happen so that those other student behaviors happen. So I also appreciated, I got to meet the Sanford clinician and kind of see how they operate within that partnership. And I hope I get this data right. I jotted it down on a piece of paper. So sorry, Russ, if I'm not saying this right, but I think he said that he saw a 35% reduction in behaviors this year. So what I don't know is was that just this year? Was it from this time last year? So that's not a really healthy data point, but regardless, he's seeing a reduction in behaviors, and we know because we hear that just kind of rise to the surface when we hear kind of just behavior concerns, especially post-pandemic. I thought that was really refreshing to hear, and goes to a testament of, he said, his staff doing second step with fidelity and setting those expectations with both adults and students. So I appreciated that piece. He also, this was kind of timely. There's obviously some current legislation talking about cell phones and that kind of zero tolerance piece. But at his level, he has set that policy locally and maintains that kind of zero expectation or zero cell phones. And that's been a really positive, or contributed to the positive culture that he sees. And again, having adult expectations and student expectations that I thought was what has really helped to increase their positive culture. We also, he had just come fresh from a meeting where he was working with the other middle school principals and secondary administrators and Dr. Fosnot, and really thinking through that middle school CTE, which I know we've all had some questions about at our last meeting, so I was able to pick his brain a little bit on kind of what could be and how this approach should look. So I don't have any insight, but he really appreciated the opportunity to work with his fellow administrators and think through the differences between the buildings and also how they really can capitalize on moving that work forward and utilizing not only the building but their own buildings to really provide that comprehensive approach to middle school CTE. In a separate piece, he talked a little bit just in just general, one of the challenges, and I think we've heard this in a couple of our different school visits, the challenges with subpool, just having enough people so that because what that leads to is teachers having to cover courses, so not actually getting their scheduled planning hour because they're covering for other teachers, and so that ripple effect. And so I just wanted to note it here because it wasn't anything that he thinks that the board can do, but something for us to be aware of because it does increase that kind of burden to just allow their buildings to operate and just always kind of have enough people to run their school. He definitely talked, in a couple of my other roles, they are a targeted support and improvement school. And so we were able to kind of talk a little bit about that sense of urgency to look at their data, and they've been seeing some improvements and really using that improvement science approach to really align kind of what they're already doing, but focusing on kind of some of what they should focus on in terms of implementation, and so that was nice to hear. And then we went on the tour, and I really liked seeing kind of how they've utilized and capitalized on their space and using those collaborative learning spaces. I saw a lot of active engagement, students working with each other, small group, and just really preparing them, I think, for the model that they're going to see when they get to Legacy as well. So you talked through that. We got to hear the band and the choir just in little bits and pieces, and I would be remiss if I didn't put a plug in for Newsies that they're going to be putting on this spring. And for all of, when we talk about art, really that community engagement of our electives that we were just talking about with Focus on Success, band concerts, plays, the art events, the active engagement that a lot of these educators are doing for that community and family involvement is just great. So I think that's nice as a member of the public to be able to see these things. And then just really appreciated seeing the different ways that he was able to kind of use a wing to talk through kind of behaviors and how that looks. And then it was a pleasure to be able to meet several of the educators as I was kind of going in the hallway and high-fiving kiddos and just that positive feel. I happened to be there during passing period, which, as you guys know, at the secondary level, if you happen to be going on a tour at the time that all the kids are going, David knows over there. I was expecting to be kind of going against the grain because I was not following their expectations. I was going against the grain. Everybody was so respectful. Kids were great, and just a lot of positive comments. So it was a great visit, and I appreciated the time to be there. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Ms. Peterson. Any other school visit updates from anybody else? I think that's it for tonight. Thanks again, Ms. Peterson. Item 7 is the consent agenda. What are the wishes of the board?
I'll move that we adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Scher.
Lee,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Presky,
Yes.
Hager,
Yes.
Eastgate.
Yes, motion passes. Item 8 is the superintendent's report, 8A, financial report. Dr. Fosnot.
Thank you, Mr. Eastgate. I'll defer to Mr. Scher.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Fosnot, Board President Eastgate. I don't know if you watched that.
I heard.
I either demoted you or promoted somebody, I'm not sure, but.
It's a compliment.
Before you is the monthly financial report. Remember, we had 2 this month because we don't meet for the second time in December. So our first meeting, we had the report for as of the end of November. Now we have the end of December. One thing I want to point out to you, the Director of Accounting and I we're looking at this, and when you get to the big boxes where we're favorable or unfavorable, you'll see that local revenues are unfavorable. So we did some looking into that, and confident that will correct next month. It's just a change in the way the county does its process and when we receive that chunk of money from the county. So that favorable should right itself a little bit in next month. You can see that the next page, expenditures are all under, which is favorable. That's good. And really don't really have any particular line item that I feel stands out that I haven't already talked about in the past. So I would stand for any questions that the board would have at this time.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Scheer? Mr. Hager?
Not so much a question, more of a comment. So I appreciate Mr. Scheer touching on it. But when you do look at those boxes, it does stand out when you see the year-to-date local sources of revenue, and it's unfavorable, and you're looking at the dollar amount, what we have, and what is showing below. So I appreciate the color, just the understanding that it's a timing thing that'll correct the next month. So I appreciate you sharing that and just kind of touching on that too. So when folks are looking at home and kind of seeing those things, that these boxes are a nice quick look to kind of see how things are going, but they're not always perfect. Sometimes there's a timing that makes them look a little funky. So thanks, Mr. Scheer.
Thank you, Mr. Hager. Seeing no further questions, Dr. Fosnot.
Next thing I have in my report is just a little legislative update. I thought I'd just take some time with you, talk about some key legislation, at least my office and my team been tracking, and then maybe some of your thoughts. The first one was House Bill 1160. You might have seen that on social media talking about cellular devices in schools. There's several bills dealing with cell phones and students. I have provided, there has been some proposed amendments to this bill, which I do think my initial testimony, even though Representative Heinert didn't take neutral testimony that day, I came as neutral. I would tell you, could we as a humankind, and I will pick on kids and adults, be separated from our digital devices more? Yes, we could. But for kids during our instructional time, I think there's key points to make about attention, how they're focusing on learning, focusing on that activity in front of them that we could do better on. You've heard testimony from principals. I think they have a good plan. As Mr. Madler had testified at that bill, very few disruptions, that he's being referred, I guess referrals, discipline referrals. But this one just takes a little farther and just says, it gives us, asks us to make a policy. We need a policy for using cellular devices, these electronics, during instructional time, and then also maybe during non-instructional time. And it did carve out some exceptions that were posed to the committee, that we do have some legitimate reasons kids are using cellular devices. I mean, I have two right here. And those, a lot of medical accommodations, educational accommodations for kids. I think you've heard that once before, the number of devices we use for translation and doing activities like that. And then also just emergencies. So I think maybe you've heard those stories too. Like if something would happen in our schools, you wish your kid is in close contact with you if something would happen. So giving some exceptions to that bill the way it was originally intended. So I don't know if you have any comments or questions on that before I go through. Okay. Another one that I've been working on is House Bill 1172. That's for Center for Distance Ed. Publicly, I want to make sure everybody understands Center for Distance Ed does a really great job. They are exceptional at their work. They have great content. They have great teachers. As we have testified for CDE, it's not been about Center for Distance Ed. It's hugely important for the state of North Dakota. It's maybe about helping create some guardrails for kids and families about what's a good time to take a CD course, and then when it's not. And then if something happens with a CD course, and I heard some testimony at this on the bill, we don't want to put a kid in a position where they don't graduate on time, because of some of those choices. So you just want to be able to help guide kids and families towards success. So we've testified to that. House Bill 1333, school lunch. You might want to just keep an eye on that one, and paying for school lunches. And this one, sorry, not paying for school lunches, is lunch time. how much time is devoted to eating lunch. That's come through. I do think, and I don't have the number, I think you're going to see a bill about paying for school lunches too. I think you're going to see both those coming through legislation. Mr. Scher and I will probably be at the Capitol on Wednesday for House Bill 1369. That's a state funding bill for schools. I probably won't be worried so much about the base funding level for schools. I think the state and our legislators in Bismarck have done a really good job to ensure that our schools are funded well. May always want more, but they've really done a good job. We'll probably be focusing on the EL factor because, as you have heard, we have a growing EL enrollment that is stretching our resources. And when I talk to partner schools in Dickinson, Williams County, Jamestown, Fargo, West Fargo, we're seeing a lot of stretch from EL services. So we'd like to just articulate that need to our legislators. Transportation funding, which I think we've talked about before, that might get into the formula, which would be a benefit for BPS. And then at-risk funding. We talk a lot about behavioral health. You just kind of mentioned that, Ms. Peterson. Some of those services we're providing at the school level and through Renew Ed, and needing to expand even Renew Ed type services, Level D type services for elementary kids. Well, those all come with a cost. And there's really not in the present formula, there's not a great way to build in that reimbursement from the state. We're encouraging maybe some views to how to do that. A lot of schools are doing a lot of big work here. Could you help us do that important work? So, House Bill 1387, that is a bill that was proposed by several Bismarck legislators to not have school on Election Day, or not have school on election days when your voting locations are in school. And so due to, I think, safety concerns, like could we get the voting locations out of school, off school property? And it's going to just cause us to have a few options in the future. We have been in support of that. So as we have provided some testimony and support, I think we'll look forward to how that one ends. And last one, I'd just encourage you to keep your eyes on. I have not seen bills drop yet on this, but I believe you're going to see several bills about education savings accounts. And that's the concept of state payment given to all kids in the state, regardless of where they attend, for them to use for educational services. I think you should just be watchful of that and how that legislation moves forward. And probably the most importantly, how are the reasons you can use it? Are they reasons that we support? And then what's the financial cost of that? So that's all I have, unless you have others. So we have there's plenty of bills, as some of us know, at the Hill. We got plenty to track, so.
Thank you. Ms. Peterson.
I have one question or just something to keep in mind. The CDE policy, and I've kind of been tracking some of this on a couple of different fronts, but one thing that I, regardless of where this bill goes, one thing that Dr. Alyssa Martin, who kept saying is she encouraged school boards to lean in and create policy and guardrails, whether they create it at the state or not. So something that we could consider is putting in some allowable guardrails, whatever happens with the bill. So that's maybe something to think of as we follow that for our cases, so that we could maybe give those principals some of those guardrails so that it's not just a free-for-all.
If you don't mind, I think I really appreciate that comment, Ms. Peterson. So BPS being leaders again, right? We've had one of our principals, we've had some work with Dr. Martin, and we are actually helping them craft those guardrails. So we've been really working behind the scenes to say what's some reasonable guardrails that they could implement at CDE for some policy that would lend itself to kind of complement school level policy. So we're already kind of working on that already. So I would see that coming along with probably legislation, so.
Thank you. If nothing else on that, Dr. Fosnot, I think all agenda items have been considered. I declare this meeting adjourned.